Hey guys, after I brought you the most emotional reunions of the 7th season, in which I provided you every single detail about Jorah's unification with Daenerys in Dragonstone, about full Stark reunion in traditional home of House Stark at Winterfell, and about Arya's reunion with her direwolf Nymeria, today in this video I'm bringing you more confirmed reunions for the upcoming season, reunions that are confirmed by leaked plot and also are supported by leaked photos. Let's start with arguably the most interesting reunion that we're going to see in the upcoming season. It's a reunion between Jon Snow and Tyrion Lannister. At this point, all of you have probably already been introduced with an important spoiler that has been confirmed a long time ago, which is that in the very first episode of the 7th season, Daenerys along with her two armies, her advisors and her hand Tyrion will land at the east coast of Westeros at Dragonstone, which besides being confirmed by a ton of leaked photos has also been confirmed by HBO multiple times. Firstly, HBO a few weeks ago has released an official promo entitled Long Walk that includes Daenerys Targaryen walking through the halls of Dragonstone, whereupon after an, as title says itself, long walk through the halls, Dany entered the throne room and a few moments later sat on her throne. HBO has also confirmed this fact by releasing more than a few promotional photos from the 7th season. To be exact, 15 promotional photos have been released. Among those 15 photos, there are a few photos that contain Daenerys Targaryen, along with her advisors Varys and Missandei, her hand Tyrion Lannister and the commander of her army Grey Worm at Dragonstone. Long story short, Daenerys landing at Dragonstone is not surprising at all, but the biggest spoiler is in the fact that Daenerys shortly after her arrival at already mentioned island, which is the location of the ancestral seat of House Targaryen, will send the invitation to Jon to come and meet her, which Jon will accept. Jon's arrival at shores of Dragonstone had been confirmed a long time ago, as well as Tyrion, Missandei and Connor welcoming Jon Snow and Davos to Dragonstone with a formal handshake between the King in the North and the Hand of the Queen. Even though reunion between those two characters will be formal, as the Hand of the Queen is welcoming the King Jon Snow, I'm very excited and looking forward to a conversation that those two will most certainly have while being at the same location. As we all know, Tyrion and Jon bonded in the first episode of the very first season. Tyrion approached Jon, who was venting his frustrations on a practice dummy as a result of him not being allowed to attend a great feast in the main hall, fearing of offending the royal guests. Tyrion approached and gave him the best advice young Jon could ever get while being known as the bastard son of Ned Stark. Tyrion knew what it's like to be an outcast, as he was aware of his father's disdain. He was aware that most of his entire family, except for his brother, blamed him for Tywin's beloved wife and their mother's death, as well as he was aware that his abilities were and still are underestimated because of him being a dwarf. So upon seeing a young man who was seemingly frustrated and ashamed for his status as the bastard son of Eddard Stark, Tyrion gave him an advice. He said, "Never forget what you are, the rest of the world will not. Wear it like armor, and it can never be used to hurt you." Beside this advice, which most certainly was one of the best advices Jon has ever received, advice from Jon figured out that due to his bastard status, he has refused to be a victim and instead build on his strengths so he could get up to the positions of high honor. Tyrion and Jon also traveled together to the Castle Black. While on the road, they also shared a few interesting conversations. Tyrion continued having his eye on Jon during his stay at Castle Black in order to provide him better environment in the Night's Watch. As we all know, Tyrion was monitoring the new recruits' training and realized that Jon Snow, due to his advantages of being trained by a castle master at arms at Winterfell, was embarrassing his fellow recruits by beating them easily in training, which eventually resulted with other recruits, to be exact, with Pip, Grenn and Ross attempting to kill Jon in the armory, but were encouraged to leave by Tyrion Lannister, whereupon Tyrion compared Pip's background as a starving peasant to Jon's privileged life in a castle with a master at arms to teach him in the art of combat, which encouraged Jon to, instead of beating them up, to start training them in swordplay, which resulted with Jon earning their respect and friendship. In conclusion, both of them will without a doubt be glad to see each other after all of these years, not to mention how happy Tyrion will be upon seeing Jon, who from a shamed and frustrated boy became the king in the north, the second most powerful person in the Seven Kingdoms. Let's continue with reunion between Gendry and Davos Seavert, because of whom Gendry is still alive. If you haven't been caught up with the spoilers, Gendry, the guy whose fate had been unknown after escaping from the island of Dragonstone with the help of Sir Davos Seavert, will finally appear in the upcoming season. Joe Dempsey, an actor that portrays Gendry, has been firstly spotted on September of 2016, spotted by a fan in Northern Ireland's Belfast City Airport, while his appearance in the 7th season has been confirmed shortly after that, with a lot of leaked photos of him at the filming that took place on Muriola Beach in Barrica. The leaked photo shows that Davos and Tyrion will in the first episodes of the upcoming season go to King's Landing and will escort Gendry to Dragonstone. As you can see from those photos, Davos and Gendry were together preparing the boat to leave when all of a sudden two gold cloaks approached. Davos somehow managed to avoid the conflict by showing to them that the boat is innocently empty, whereupon he also bribed the gold cloaks and at the same time avoided conflict. But not for too long, as Tyrion showed up and passed by the gold cloaks who spotted Tyrion and came back immediately. This time Davos did not have any chance of avoiding the problem. He tried to, but the gold cloaks grabbed their swords, which resulted with Gendry picking up Warhammer from the boat and killing both of them, whereupon Davos, Tyrion and Gendry pushed the boat offshore and headed to Dragonstone. Let me just say that it's not surprising that Gendry will, in the very first episodes of the upcoming season, be at King's Landing, considering his last scene in which Davos saved him from being burnt alive by sending him to King's Landing in a rowboat, and told him to keep rowing until he comes to King's Landing. Let's now focus on reunion which we're actually not looking forward to happen, reunion which includes Jon Snow and the person that betrayed few and has also saved one member of Jon's family. As you have probably guessed by now, I'm talking about Theon Greyjoy. Besides Jon's reunion with Tyrion, while it's at Dragonstone, there will also be a reunion between him and Theon, which is confirmed by one leaked scene in which Jon, Davos, Missandei and a few Dothraki warriors welcome the just arrived Theon and few Ironborn men in the shores of Dragonstone who will either run away in the heat of the battle upon realizing that his sister Yara and Dany's other ally, the Sand Snakes, are about to lose the fleet battle against Euron, or Yara will decide, upon realizing that the battle is lost, to send her brother to inform Daenerys about the outcome, along with saving him from getting killed or captured. I already made a long video in which I provided every single detail about this fleet battle, in which Theon and Yara Greyjoy with their Ironborn fleet, supported by the Sand Snakes and their army, are going to have a fleet battle against Theon Greyjoy, which is not surprising since they are going to try to retake the kingdom of the Iron Islands from Euron, who has started building 1,000 ships in previous season. This fleet battle that will end with deaths of Obara and Nymeria while Illyria Sand and her daughter Taina are going to get captured, along with Yara, you can check out for more details in my previous videos. However, upon arriving at Dragonstone, Theon will not be welcomed by Jon Snow, as it's not the most appropriate term for that scene. As we all expected, Jon is furious while meeting Theon. That's the man who betrayed his cousin Robb Stark and took Winterfell by force, including killing a few loyal Stark's men, along with executing Sir Roderick, a master at arms who had trained Jon, Robb, Theon, as well as Ned and Benjen Stark in the art of combat. Jon grabbed Theon by the lapels, and while in that leaked scene we could not hear what Jon was saying to Theon, we can assume that Jon was probably insulting him, scene which we can expect to happen in the 3rd episode of the 7th season. Fortunately for Theon, the king in the north managed to abstain himself. Instead of escalating the conflict, Jon had gone off in an anger, while as we can see from leaked photos, Theon will later be beaten up by the Ironborn man, most probably for abandoning his sister and their leader in the battle. According to the leaked plot, Jon will spare Theon's life only because of Sansa, only because Theon helped Sansa to escape from the Boltons, but I don't think Daenerys would either allow Jon to kill Theon, as he and his sister Yara are her allies. For the end of this video, let me just introduce you with an interesting news about Game of Thrones spin-offs. According to a report from Entertainment Weekly, HBO is in the process of developing 4 ideas from multifarious writers to keep George R.R. Martin's fictional world on our screens for a long time. 4 projects are under consideration, with George R.R. Martin being personally attached to 2 of them, while Dan Benioff and Dan Weiss, even though they previously said that they do not plan to be involved in any follow-up projects, will be attached to the new shows as executive producers. In case you don't know who Benioff and Weiss are, and in case you're wondering why would we even care about those 2 being attached to the new projects, let me introduce you with them in a sentence or 2. David Benioff and Daniel Weiss are creators and showrunners of our favorite and the widely acclaimed award-winning HBO series Game of Thrones. While we all already did expect that HBO will in the near future launch some kind of spin-off, prequel or sequel series, the news about Benioff and Weiss being involved in those new projects is more than surprising because, as I've already said, only a few months ago both of them denied any involvement in Game of Thrones spin-off series. Let me just highlight that the set date for this spin-off is unknown, as HBO said. There is no set timetable for this project, meaning that there will most probably be a gap between the end of Game of Thrones and the new George R. R. Martin's fictional universe related series. And as always, let me know your opinion about all of this in the comment section down below.